An NBA All-Star turned YouTuber gets arrested for running an illegal poker house, beefs with his ex-teammate online, and then gets exposed for being fake by his own crew. This story has everything: money, betrayal, and ego. Let's break down how Gilbert Arenas went from the court to complete chaos. On July 30th, 2025, the sports and entertainment world was rocked by news that former NBA All-Star turned YouTube personality Gilbert Arenas had been arrested in Los Angeles. The charges stemmed from a federal indictment alleging that Arenas was involved in running an illegal, high-stakes poker operation. What shocked people even more wasn't just the accusation itself, but where it all happened, inside a rented home that had quietly been transformed into a secret casino. For someone who once dazzled fans with deep three-pointers and larger-than-life charisma on the basketball court, this was an unexpected headline. To his loyal supporters, it was heartbreaking. To his critics, it was another reminder of the unpredictable, often chaotic path Gilbert's life had taken after basketball. And for everyone else, it was one of those moments that made you pause, blink, and say, "Damn." To really understand why this story hits so hard, you have to go back to the beginning, to the man known as Agent Zero. In the mid-2000s, Gilbert Arenas wasn't just another NBA player. He was one of the most entertaining figures in the league. He had the kind of energy that made every game feel like a show. His jump shot was lethal, his confidence unmatched, and his antics legendary. Fans adore him because he played with flair and personality. He celebrated after every big shot, talked trash with a smile, and brought a sense of fun that basketball sometimes lacked. But Gilbert's career was always a mix of brilliance and controversy. For every 40-point game or buzzer beater, there seemed to be an off-court headline waiting around the corner. His most infamous moment came during the 2009 to 2010 season when a locker room dispute with teammate Javaris Crittenton turned into a scandal involving firearms. The incident changed everything. Once a beloved star, Arenas suddenly became a cautionary tale. The suspension that followed didn't just cost him time on the court, it cost him his reputation. Even when he returned, the magic never fully came back. After leaving the NBA, Arenas could have faded quietly into retirement like so many players do. But that was never his style. Instead, he reinvented himself. He traded in his jersey for a microphone and a camera, finding a new home on YouTube and social media. In a world where content was king, Gilbert quickly proved he still had the charisma to captivate an audience. His natural humor, his raw honesty, and his willingness to say what others wouldn't made him stand out from the wave of former athletes trying to build online platforms. He wasn't just commenting on basketball, he was breaking it down in ways that were both insightful and hilarious. He'd tell inside stories that made fans feel like they were sitting courtside in the locker room, hearing the real truth about life in the NBA. He had timing, delivery, and confidence. The same ingredients that made him a star on the court now made him a star behind the camera. But YouTube fame is different from sports fame. In basketball, you play a role within a team. On YouTube, you play every role: host, editor, promoter, and public figure. Every word you say lives forever, and every argument becomes entertainment. For a personality like Gilbert, that kind of platform was both a blessing and a trap. It gave him total freedom, but it also amplified every bit of chaos that followed him. When the story broke that the illegal poker games were being held in a place literally called Gil's Arena, many people thought it had to be a joke. The name sounded too perfect, like a punchline that wrote itself. But as investigators confirmed, this wasn't a harmless hangout among friends. It was reportedly a full-blown underground gambling setup with large sums of money changing hands and an air of exclusivity that drew in high-profile guests. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Here was Gilbert Arenas, the man who had spent years turning Gil's Arena into a digital brand, a place for basketball debates, humor, and culture, now being tied to a literal gambling den that carried the same name. To fans, it felt surreal. The line between his on-screen persona and his real life had blurred so much that they were starting to overlap in uncomfortable ways. But if the poker house was the underground chapter of his story, YouTube was his new public battleground. Arenas had a knack for turning even the most serious situations into entertainment. His humor, his storytelling, and his ability to roast anyone without hesitation made him must-watch content. However, his outspokenness often led to clashes with others, most famously with former teammate Kwame Brown. The tension between the two wasn't new. They had shared locker rooms, shared wins, and shared history. But when social media gave everyone a megaphone, those old rivalries found new life. Kwame Brown, known for his own no-filter style, called out several former players online, and Gilbert wasn't about to let it slide. What started as playful banter turned into a heated back-and-forth that fans couldn't get enough of. Their exchanges were funny, cutting, and deeply personal. The kind of content that dominates the trending page, but also reveals real emotion beneath the surface. Yet, through it all, Gilbert Arenas stayed remarkably calm. He never seemed bitter or defensive. Instead, he leaned into the drama, almost as if he understood that in the digital world, controversy equals currency. He was in control of his image, the same way he once controlled the tempo of a game, and even when things got messy, he found a way to make it entertaining. Still, this latest arrest was a reminder that real life isn't a YouTube stream. The federal charges surrounding the poker operation were serious, and fans wondered whether this was the point where the jokes would stop. But if history has shown anything, it's that Gilbert Arenas has an uncanny ability to bounce back. He's a man who seems to thrive on reinvention. When one door closes, he finds another one, even if it's unconventional. There's something undeniably magnetic about him. He's unpredictable, flawed, and brutally honest. And that combination, while risky, is exactly what keeps people interested. Some see him as a cautionary tale of wasted potential. Others see him as a misunderstood genius, someone who simply refuses to play by the rules. But either way, no one can deny that he's compelling. Gil's Arena, whether as a YouTube show or a controversial poker house, perfectly symbolizes who Gilbert Arenas is at his core. It's a place where chaos meets charisma, where mistakes and entertainment collide. He's always walked that line between brilliance and trouble, humor and heartbreak. And even now, with legal issues hanging over him, he's still a name that draws attention wherever it appears. Maybe that's what makes Gilbert Arenas so fascinating. He's a reflection of the modern celebrity, constantly reinventing, constantly polarizing, never entirely predictable. He's the guy who can make you laugh one minute and make you question his decisions the next. But love him or hate him, you can't look away. So, what does the future hold for Gilbert Arenas? Maybe redemption, maybe reinvention, maybe another twist that no one sees coming. But if there's one thing we've learned from his journey so far, it's that Gilbert never folds. No matter how high the stakes or how wild the hand he's dealt, he always finds a way to stay in the game.
I didn't know nothing about like webcam, StreamYard. I had to learn all of that because I only came to YouTube because I was beefing with him. So when I came up with the show idea of like ESPN style, because I'm learning as I go. So I have this channel. I know Matt Barnes. They got all the smoke, right? But they're on Showtime, so they have infrastructure.
And to be fair, that part's completely true. Gilbert Arenas really did spend a lot of time online trading jokes and jabs with people, and he was absolutely hilarious while doing it. His quick wit, timing, and sharp sense of humor made him stand out from almost every other athlete who decided to jump into the YouTube space. Honestly, Gilbert wasn't just funny for a basketball player. He was legitimately funny, the kind of funny that could carry a comedy podcast or a late-night show if he ever wanted to. What made Arenas so unique was the effortlessness of his humor. He didn't need to force punchlines or fake energy for the camera. The same casual sarcasm and locker room charisma that made him a fan favorite in the NBA naturally translated into digital entertainment. He could tell a story about the most random thing, a team flight, a rookie hazing, a bad coach, and somehow make it sound like stand-up comedy. Every anecdote had timing, rhythm, and that signature Gil flair that kept people glued to the screen. Arenas had this rare ability to balance arrogance and authenticity. He could boast about dropping 50 points on Kobe one second and the next make fun of himself for blowing a defensive assignment or missing a game winner. That self-awareness gave him a charm that a lot of athletes simply don't have when they try to make the leap into media. Most ex-players are cautious, overly polished, and terrified of saying something that could go viral for the wrong reason. Gilbert? He lived for that kind of chaos. He wasn't afraid of being meme-worthy. He practically invited it. On YouTube, that fearlessness made him magnetic. He wasn't trying to be an analyst or a journalist. He was just being Gilbert, a guy with stories, opinions, and a sense of humor sharper than most comedians. He joked about life, the league, and the kind of behind-the-scenes nonsense that fans always wonder about but rarely get to hear. That's what separated him from the rest. He wasn't rehearsed, and he definitely wasn't filtered. And the crazy part? It all felt real. You could tell that when he roasted someone, there wasn't malice behind it. It was pure entertainment. He'd clown on former teammates, rivals, or even himself, but it always felt like it came from that familiar locker room place, a space where humor is survival and everyone's fair game. That authenticity built him a loyal audience. People didn't just laugh at Gilbert, they laughed with him. Even people who weren't basketball fans found themselves watching his clips because of how naturally he connected with the audience. He was the type of personality who could start off talking about basketball and somehow end up diving into a hilarious rant about dating, parenting, or life in LA. His storytelling flowed like conversation, unpredictable, funny, and often sprinkled with moments of real insight. There's also something deeper about his humor that resonates with people. Beneath all the jokes and the trolling, Gilbert Arenas represents a kind of freedom that most public figures don't have anymore. He says what he thinks. He doesn't play the political game that most ex-athletes get trapped in when they enter the media world. In a culture where everyone is cautious about public perception, he's refreshingly unfiltered, sometimes too unfiltered, but always himself. That honesty, mixed with his comedic instincts, created a digital persona that was impossible to replicate. His fans love that he doesn't sound like a corporate media personality. He's not reading from a script, not pandering to sponsors, and not trying to sound smarter than everyone else. He's just talking. And in doing so, he manages to make the audience feel like they're part of an inside joke, like they're sitting courtside again, listening to the real conversations that happen when the cameras are off. In many ways, Gilbert Arenas has become the blueprint for how former athletes can transition into digital media successfully by being unapologetically themselves. He's not trying to rebuild his image or erase his past mistakes. Instead, he's leaning into them, turning his history, his highs and lows, into content that's both entertaining and relatable. So when people call him one of the funniest athletes on YouTube, they're not exaggerating. He's a natural-born entertainer, the kind who could turn a scandal, a feud, or a random story about life in the league into a viral clip within minutes. Gilbert doesn't just tell stories, he performs them, without even trying. And maybe that's what makes him so different. For Gilbert Arenas, comedy isn't a mask, it's a mirror. It reflects who he is, unpredictable, sharp, and endlessly fascinating. Whether he's roasting someone in a live stream or breaking down a basketball play with wild analogies, one thing is certain: Gilbert Arenas has turned laughter into his new legacy.
How you look. If you go to the club, you point out 10 bad ones. You use the same line on all 10. Just be like, hey, you want fun? One will say, that was bold. And give you a minute.
But if you're going to spend your time on YouTube throwing playful shots and stirring up debates, and you're Gilbert Arenas, you might as well turn that energy into profit. And that's exactly what he did. Arenas teamed up with several other former NBA players to create Gil's Arena, a podcast featuring names like Brandon Jennings, Rashad McCants, Nick Young, and even Kenyon Martin Sr. The show quickly caught fire online, drawing fans in with its unfiltered basketball talk and locker room level humor. As the podcast's popularity soared, business opportunities followed. Eventually, Arenas sold about half of Gil's Arena to a sports betting company, a strategic move he later broke down and explained in detail.
The reason I gave up equity is because, so I used to do this in the weed, so I started in the weed game, right? I was I was the landlord. What I would do is I will have one of these growers come in,
Wow.
right? They build the infrastructure, they build the system, right? They build these elaborate systems. I let them get 2 crops in, and then I kick them out. Now I have the infrastructure, and then I take over the business. That was the same concept here. Let them come in here, build the studio, build all the equipment, do everything that's here. We got 2 years. Once it's over with,
The Podcast Skills Arena eventually found itself under new management when Gilbert Arenas decided to sell half of it to Underdog Fantasy. His reasoning was strategic. He explained that by selling 50% ownership, the company could handle production, operations, and growth, while he planned to eventually reclaim full control once the brand was more established. During this period, Arenas frequently appeared online alongside other notable figures, including his former teammate and longtime rival, Kwame Brown, as well as outspoken YouTuber Anton Daniels, a personality well known for courting controversy. Daniels, however, couldn't quite understand why Arenas would give up part of such a successful show. On a live stream, he challenged him directly, saying, "You said when you got arrested, that's when they took the name from you because your name wasn't good for the brand anymore. My expectations of you are higher because you're not just another guy on the show. You're the show. Without you, it doesn't exist." Plenty of people start basketball podcasts and they flop. Most of that stuff is trash. Let's just be honest. Gilbert didn't push back. He didn't defend himself, nor did he jump to protect the reputation of his co-hosts. Instead, he simply acknowledged Daniels' point, calm, measured, and seemingly unbothered. And to be fair, Daniels wasn't entirely wrong. Many athlete-led podcasts fail to connect, even when hosted by big names. Transitioning from the court to content creation is a different skill set altogether. But not everyone took his comments so lightly. Kenyon Martin Sr., one of Arenas' co-hosts, fired back, taking issue with Daniels' criticism and addressing him head-on.
He just y'all chatting and this, that, and the third, and we just kept straight, on there calling nobodies and shit like that, bro. Nah, that ain't more than a nobody. He was praising you for being who you are, and in the same breath, gonna be yeah, when them other dudes on the shows and nobody, they be nobody without you. Nobody. I think I'm been somebody for a long time now.
Shout out Jesse J.
Not
low.
Whoever
what you said with Kwame.
Yeah. The dude, I don't know his name.
This whole situation took a turn when Kenyon Martin Sr. stepped into the conversation. Martin, a bold, outspoken former NBA star, didn't hold back. And honestly, that's part of what makes him valuable. Guys like him bring first-hand experience and perspective that most fans, or even YouTubers, could never have. Now, Anton Daniels made a fair point. He argued that Gilbert Arenas is the driving force behind Gil's Arena, and without him, the show wouldn't exist. But that take misses something crucial. Podcasts, like teams, need role players. Not everyone is meant to be the loudest voice or the main personality. Some co-hosts are there to balance the energy, provide insight, or keep the conversation grounded. Without those dynamics, the chemistry falls apart. Still, what made things messy was how Arenas handled the tension. When Martin asked who Anton Daniels was, Gilbert acted like he didn't even know him, despite having just spoken with him online. That move rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It came across as fake, especially since Daniels has built a massive YouTube platform with over 1 million followers. Pretending not to know him wasn't just dismissive, it was disrespectful. And here's the deeper issue: loyalty. If you're part of a show and someone calls your teammates trash, you defend them, even if you privately think they could do better. You stand by your crew, because without them, the show, the brand, doesn't exist in the same way. Arenas' silence when Daniels criticized his co-hosts made him look detached and disloyal, and that's what really struck a nerve. Kenyon Martin, being the straight shooter he is, wasn't about to let that slide. From his perspective, Arenas had broken an unspoken code: loyalty to the people who help you win. Whether it's on the court or behind a mic, you don't let outsiders disrespect your teammates. And O'Shea Duke Jackson, who broke down the whole situation, put it best: when someone won't defend you in public, that silence says more than words ever could. Those are the kinds of people you have to be careful around, because if they won't back you up in front of others, they're probably talking about you behind your back. So, what do you think? Is Gilbert Arenas just playing it cool? Or did he show his true colors by staying quiet when it mattered most?